Alright, hey, welcome back to my daily weather forecast video. It is 9:04 p.m. Central Time, December 30, 2025. We have lots of things to talk about, including the return of atmospheric river threats, more winter storms across the plains, the Midwest, and the Northeast, and more cold air that's really going to swim in. And we're looking at a huge pattern change once we get into the month of November, in which that is we're seeing more frequent snowstorms, and we're now looking at the threat for more nor'easters and very heavy snow. Let's talk about the atmospheric river threat here. So let's go to California. Let's go to the southwestern United States, where we have this nice low pressure system that's gonna bring some rain, and that's gonna swam into California, and then it's gonna curve northwards out into the Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at that area too. But this will bring heavy mountain snow. It becomes dry here, and then becomes dry, and then we have this next low pressure system, and this could be a potential bomb cyclone. Someone's searching if it can, but we're getting three rounds of atmospheric river threats, huge rain events. Four actually, mainly hitting California. So you guys can see lots of heavy flooding. Let's take a look at the total precipitation here. For some areas, you can now see up to 8 inches of snow, especially if you're living off the coast of California. So that's something to keep in mind. Taking a look at the mountain snow, very heavy, potentially up to 5 feet of snow in higher elevations. And then here in Northern California, we could see definitely potentially more than 5 feet of snow. Then here you can see up to 4 feet of snow in that particular area. And I'll show you how this atmospheric river will turn out. First of all, let's start off with today, where that Pacific jet stream is just really going and swimming that south. And then it will start to move northwards. Take a look at the curve in this jet stream over here from here now, and it's gonna slash northwards. Take a look at the narrow line that's here, and that's gonna bring that heavy rain threat. And that thing, it's gonna expand but weaken, but still gonna bring heavy rain. And it expands mainly across most of states like California, Nevada, and parts of Oregon, Utah could see some. And then that moves east. Then we have this nice line in the south, and that's gonna move east towards the desert areas of the United States. Then we have this next round, and this one is where the full effect comes in. Look at this big, thick, narrow line of red, where you can see 125 mile per hour wind gusts in the air, and that's gonna bring all that heavy rain coming in, and this will move south. Then more and strengthens. Then we have the next one that's gonna deep into the southwest. Let's take a look at the northwest jet stream, where everything is just above Washington. There we can see some of that same Pacific jet stream from that's heading California into parts of states like Oregon and Utah. And then that moves east. And then we have this next short localized round. Like I said, it's mainly going to stick around in states like Oregon and Utah. Then we have this next one. And this one, it's really going to be heavy. And that's going to scream into parts of the west coast. So very heavy rain events. So let's take a look at the total rain. And that's not a lot of rain in this particular area, but in some areas, could see still heavy rain. Potentially for up to 4 inches of rain, especially if you're on the coast of Washington and Oregon. Mountain areas could still see that heavy snow. Let's take a look at the total snowfall. Dry. But still, in some areas, in higher elevated areas, you can see up to 20 inches of snow. States like Washington, a foot of snow in southern Oregon. Utah's going to be hit with lots of snow, potentially for some reason to see 2 feet of snow. I'll show you how this first one comes out. We have this narrow line of rain, and then that's going to move northwards towards the Pacific Northwest. Then we have this next round. Then we have more splashing in, and this is going to bring very, very heavy rain problems, especially for the Southwest. So the Southwest is my main area of concern. Let's look at the national map where we have lots of things to talk about, including the pattern change, all those areas. First of all, that huge historic cyclone that just hit parts of the Midwest is now to Canada. And then we have this clipper that's currently ongoing on in the Great Lakes. And then we have this next one that's going to come in, and that's going to bring potential for blizzard-like conditions, snow squalls, and lake effect snow. And look at those Titan isobars, and that's going to bring very windy conditions. High pressure system comes through, Pacific Northwest, and then take a look. We're starting to see more of a nor'easter pattern with low pressure starting to develop more in the southeast. And then take a look at that jet stream where it's going to either curve north or curve east. And still, that's going to be our main area of uncertainty, and that is something to look about. Let's take a look out in time. High pressure system keeping everything warm. More rain and severe weather coming in. Still more rain. And then take a look at this nice winter storm here. And that will affect the pattern that we're going to see. This high pressure system over here. So here's a high pressure system, and that's going to keep everything dry, particularly in this area. And that's going to be the perfect recipe for more winter storms, especially in this particular boundary, because first of all, you have the high pressure system keeping everything dry in the south and the east, and that's going to bring more moisture coming up as cold, drier slams in, and that's going to bring, the systems that will bring these nor'easters and winter storms. And like I said, a nor'eastern pattern is possible. Let's take a look at the GFS models. First of all, more stormy. Very, very stormy. And I think I kind of agree with it because of these high pressure systems. First of all, I have cold air right now. Clipper system comes through, becomes a high. We have a low pressure system that's going to track. Look how it evolves from the Rockies, goes deep down south, and forms a full-on low in the southeast, and look how it moves east, a tad northeastwards. That's going to be the rest of a pattern, which will bring very rainy conditions to parts of the southeast, multiple clippers, and then take a look at these low pressure systems developing in the Rockies, curving northwards, bringing tons and tons of winter storms. And so that is the pattern I really want to talk about. So that is something to take a look at. Let's take a look at the total snowfall. Let's use the convection models for areas like the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic. First of all, clipper system moves in. I think that's already done by now. That moves east. Then we have this next clipper system. And this is where all these blizzard conditions will start to come in. First of all, take a look at this cold front that came in a few days earlier. I'll show you. Let's just move on to... From that same cyclone, that's where this cold air comes in. We have this first clipper and then second clipper. And that's going to be our, like I said, a pattern for rest of January and February potentially, where cold air comes in, high pressure systems in the east and the south. That's gonna bring very, very cold air, and moisture. And then this next cover comes in. Can you see those snow squall? And this is actually going to be a lake effect pounder for especially parts in the Mid-Atlantic. We'll take a look at that area, but take a look on how this moves southeastwards, and that's going to bring very heavy snow. High pressure system comes in, some lake effect. Let's take a look at the total snowfall from these two Clipper systems. Okay, potential for up to 2 inches of snow, especially in northeastern Illinois. That lake effect is going to pound, and that's going to bring about 2 to 5 inches of snow across Indiana and Michigan. Still have the lake effect snow in Upper Peninsula. I like this little line over here. Now let's take a look at the northeast, where that lake effect, and that's really going to be a huge problem for anyone living in the northeast. First of all, Clipper comes through. We have lake effect going on right now in states like New York that this Clipper comes through. Then we have this next system, this New Year's system, and take a look at how it becomes a low pressure system. And take a look at those lines of snow. And this is really going to move south towards the eastern coast. And this will bring very, very heavy snow, especially in those that see lots of lake effect. Take a look at the total snowfall. Like I showed you earlier, take a look at states like New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, especially if you're in lake effect areas. Some of you guys could be seeing up to 2 feet of snow. And this ranges from southern New York and central New York are the main threat areas for this heavy snow. Take a look at the Appalachian Mountains. You can see up to about 4 feet of snow, which is very, very heavy. So blizzard conditions and snow squalls are very possible across the Midwest and the Northeast. Okay, let's take a look at the temperatures for the next 144 hours. And it's going to be very, very cold with those cold fronts really coming in. Let's go to right now. Right now I have this nice trough, and that's going to bring 20s and 10s across the Midwest and the Northeast. Trough moves east. Then we have this next warm-up that kind of comes in before the next trough with 50s and 40s across the plains. Then we have this nice decent trough, and that's going to bring single digits and negatives across the upper Midwest and the northern plains. In the lower Midwest, Ohio Valley, in the Northeast, you could see 20s and 10s. Michigan just see 10s. That trough kind of comes in for a while with 20s and 10s across the Midwest. It's negatives maybe in parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Then we have this next trough that comes in with 20s and 10s across the most of the upper Mississippi Valley, mid-Mississippi Valley, Great Lakes in the northeast and the lower Midwest, and Ohio Valley, with negatives and single digits possible across states like the upper Midwest, northern plains, and potentially for up to negative 10s in states like Minnesota and Wisconsin. That trough moves east, and then we have this nice, huge warm-up. 60s and 50s across the south. So that's it for today for my weather video. See you in the next one, and be weather aware.